Welcome to my views on news. Two news stories. First one is about interim government in Tigray. Talks have entered final phase for establishment of an interim government in Tigray. Details for you. Secondly, European Union suspended direct financial assistance for Ethiopian government more than a year ago. Though humanitarian assistance is being provided to Ethiopia, but direct budgetary support was suspended in 2021. Since then, Ethiopian government has been lobbying to convince EU to resume this financial direct support for the government. Government is in dire need of financial aid these days. Now, EU Foreign Affairs Council is due to meet in coming weeks to unfreeze the funding. Details for you. Firstly, viewers, Pretoria Agreement signed at the start of November stipulates that an interim government will be established in Tigray. And interim government will be put in place after consultation with all stakeholders having representation. And it is one of the key clauses of the peace agreement. Demobilization, disarmament, withdrawal of Eritrean military, interim government in Tigray, new regional election. These are main clauses of the peace deal signed in November. Tigray did hold elections before November 2020 war, but that election was declared null and void by Ethiopian parliament. That is why Ethiopian parliament, Ethiopian federal government don't recognize a Tigray regional government as a legitimate government. That is why TPLF agreed to this position of Ethiopian federal government when talks were held in Pretoria, South Africa. It agreed to establishment of an interim government in Tigray. Now, talks are underway. Talks have entered final phase reportedly regarding the establishment of an interim government. Talks between the government, federal government and Tigray regional government, or you can say TPLF and Prosperity Party of PM Abiy, led by PM Abiy. Some sources say that within the next 10 days, we could see considerable progress towards the formation of interim government in Tigray. It would be interesting to see who will be part of this government. We have seen calls for technocratic government and government of national unity in Tigray. Two proposals have been shared recently through some articles that technocrats should lead the Tigray regional government or government of national unity with participation of all players, federal, regional, media, security institutions, opposition parties, all should be made part of this new government. Truth and reconciliation should start. These are two proposals, but we don't know what has been agreed by the parties, PP, main party and TPLF. What we have been able to learn is that progress has been made. Why is TPLF ready to abandon government? Firstly, it agreed at Pretoria meetings. It's part of the deal, implementation deal. Secondly, we know that in 2021, TPLF was declared a terrorist party by Ethiopian parliament. Both TPLF and OLA, they were banned. And TPLF will be reinstated as a political party. The terrorist designation will be removed after the establishment of interim government in Tigray. It means TPLF will have to agree to the establishment of interim government in Tigray if it wants terrorist label to be removed, if it wants to be back in political arena. TPLF is hoping to be back in Addis Ababa. Reportedly, it will be adjusted at federal level too. After elections, obviously, after a regional election, winning parties will be adjusted in Addis Ababa at federal level too. So, TPLF wants to get the terrorist designation removed. That is why it is obviously part of these efforts for establishment of interim government in Tigray, which could be announced in coming days. It will be interesting to see the constitution of this government. Who will have upper hand in this government? TPLF, Prosperity Party, Opposition Party, or technocrats? Try to update you in coming videos about this key development. Progress has been made reportedly, and we could see some meetings in coming days. Debretsion and Abiy, top TPLF leadership and PM Abiy, Prosperity leadership could be seen together in coming days. It was being rumored that on Ethiopian Christmas, on the 6th of January, we could see Tigray leadership with the Ethiopian federal government officials. It could happen. It shows that progress is being made for establishment of an interim government and then holding of elections in regional elections in Tigray. Secondly, viewers, in 2021, after Tigray war broke out in November 2020, EU suspended direct budgetary support for Ethiopian federal government. Since then, this direct financial support has been suspended. Though EU is supporting Ethiopia, but it is through humanitarian organizations. EU is not giving any direct financial aid to Ethiopian government. And Ethiopian economy is in need of direct financial aid because birr is losing its value, inflation is rising, food price is rising, and foreign exchange reserves depleting as well. And since 2021, Ethiopia has been lobbying for resumption of this direct financial aid. But EU has been refusing mostly. EU took a very strong position. EU said that it would resume the aid after the implementation of the peace deal. Main points should be implemented like withdrawal of Eritrean military, accountability for war crimes committed during Tigray conflict, unfettered humanitarian access to Tigray. These were three main points which were being urged by EU to be implemented. Now, we know that progress is being made. Eritrean military is withdrawing, though not completely. We have seen some pictures of Eritrean soldiers who are still in some parts of Tigray. But largely we can say Eritrean military is withdrawing from Tigray. Humanitarian access to Tigray improving. Yes, no doubt about that. Accountability is yet to be seen. Though Ethiopian government is floating some proposals for transitional justice, etc., but we have not seen any tangible progress towards accountability for war crimes committed in Tigray, in Afar, Amhara so far. Now, EU is going to deliberate resumption of financial aid for Ethiopia at a meeting. EU Foreign Affairs Council will meet on the 23rd of January this month. After around 19 days, EU Foreign Affairs Council will discuss the issue. Will the EU resume direct financial aid to Ethiopia? That remains to be seen. Ethiopia has 20 days left to do more lobbying, and maybe in the next 20 days we could see some progress towards accountability as well. towards establishment of interim government, towards withdrawal of Eritrean military from all parts of Tigray. So it means that in the next 3 weeks, we could see maybe resumption of financial aid from EU for Ethiopia. It could happen, it seems. Thank you for watching.